At 3:28 Central Time, or based upon where you live in the world. Did I get that right? Yes, I did. Now, let's look at the chart. So we have this eclipse, this solar eclipse. So solar eclipses. So they reflected on where the lunar nodes are, and currently they are in Taurus and Scorpio. And solar eclipses are gigantic new moons that really present us with the opportunity to really reboot our lives. It's kind of if this computer that I am recording this video off of right now, if it were to go off and reset itself. It's that sort of reset mode that, well, I thought that I was doing something this way and it doesn't seem to serve me. And I just had this sudden realization, and I think that it's time to do it another way. So if there's any area of your life that is drab and dull and just the same old, and is really wearing on you, and it can become very stale and dated, then maybe it is a wonderful time to open up the windows and allow the fresh new air to come in. So during solar eclipses, the moon darkens the sun. So it's a very dark sky, and moons are already, new moons are already darker to begin with. It's, where it is much more, the energy is less, where you want to, it's a great time to meditate, to take naps, to come home within ourselves, and to get deep, to not skim the surface with the areas of our life, because the full moons are all about, going out and, activating and taking advantage of the energy. But solar eclipses, new moons, is more a time to ask the hard questions and maybe make a list of all the things that I'm thinking and feeling, maybe making new resolutions, and then setting those new intentions, you know, after this time, after this emotionally quieter time. So it's, a good time for, just some quiet time, um, in a very special way. And we have several planets in Taurus. Um, So, what's going to be happening during this full moon, or excuse me, new moon, is we're going to be looking at just, I'm going to give you the rundown of the planets shown along here, and then I'm going to go into several aspects that are going to be taking place. So, conjunctions, squares, sextiles, oppositions, all of those things are considered aspects or interactions between one planet and another planet, or a luminary and another planet, or, another luminary. For example, full moons is another way of saying the sun and moon are opposite. New moons is like saying the sun and moon are conjunct. And two planets or luminaries or luminary planet, for example, Moon and Jupiter, for instance, when they come together in the same sign, they are conjunct. When they're squaring, you have the planet, let's say Neptune square, Neptune in just this is random. Neptune in Capricorn square Jupiter in Aries, for instance, because Aries and Capricorn are both cardinal signs, and they're not opposing or conjunct the same sign. So that would be a square, a difficult aspect indeed. So that's a little introduction. So currently, the sky right now, when I'm making this video, is going to be slightly different than the sky that's going to be taking place during this grand solar eclipse. And during that time, it happens to be birthday of somebody very near and dear to me. Um, so currently the sun's in Taurus. I'm not going to go over the moon because the moon moves so quickly every 2 to 3 days. Mercury is in Taurus right now. Venus in Pisces, Mars in Pisces, Jupiter in Pisces. So we have stellium through planets in Pisces, Saturn in Aquarius, Uranus in Taurus, Neptune in Pisces, Pluto in Capricorn, and we have Chiron right now, which is in Aries, and we also have the North Node in Taurus. So I'm going to break down these planets that have the Taurus. So Sun, Moon, Uranus, North Node. And I think that the North Node will be, the Uranus will be on the North Node or conjunct that point, like in sometime in July of this year. So we have all these planets in Taurus. And the new moon in Taurus to begin with really allows us time to slow down our daily routines and not to get all hyper strung with the technology and the all that nervous energy. Well, calm it down. And your Taurus is all about calming down and let's be stable and let's move slowly from A all the way till Z. If you're in a kindergarten class, because we've all had this experience where we have learned the alphabet, and so we have we're starting at the beginning and then moving all over the end, but we can't just we can jump there. I can say A to Z, but the process of getting from the starting point to the end point, you know, for instance, if you were to drive around, in different location, you can't just snap your fingers or cook a spell that will get you to, I don't know, a grocery store here in town. There is that journey of getting in the car, getting the tires pumped up, getting the windshields wiped, getting your seatbelt on, getting having the driver's steering wheel, and being driving, transporting yourself to the store, and then getting out, and then getting your car, getting all the groceries, etc., etc., etc. So Taurus is very much about the journey. It's not about working, working, working for the end result. It's not about, well, oh, I'm not happy now, but I'm going to be happy later. There's a song, do 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 do. It's like, be happy now, where you can be happy now and happy in the moment with whatever is going on, no matter how much has hit the fan, no matter how much is messed up, um, screwed up, not working properly, missing, lacking, um, out of order, whatever, to just step into the present moment and step into gratitude because Taurus really has a lot to do with the energy of gratitude. And I realize that I have something open that is probably making my computer currently right now, so the fan coming on now. And so It also relates to being very sensual, all the senses, the hard desk that my finger is just rubbing on right now, and the carpet floor that my foot is touching right now. There's something very grounding and very calming where it brings you back into awareness and just, it brings peace. It brings this feeling of, oh, you know, I'm good. I feel fine. I feel wonderful. I feel okay. And from that loving place, from that very, um, very earthy plane, we can certainly give out that love, energy, appreciation to others. Like, for example, on Thursday, April the 21st, I noticed that when I was going to my job, I just carried this really grounded, open, you know, very patient, liking, um, loving energy. I wasn't afraid to reach out and being considerate to people and asking them questions and interacting with them, um, and such. Because I did read that Taurus can be a social sign, and Venus is all about love making because it is the planet of love to begin with, and not only that, we also have Venus ruling Libra. So that's a little bit about just what that means on that level. But so some changes that are going to be happening. Well, one of those changes is Mercury, which is the planet of communication. It is how our mind works, is changing signs. It's going to move into Gemini. It's going to be direct from April 30th all the way up until May the 10th. And I'm going to get rid of my face now. It will be, um, it'll go backwards. It'll station retrograde on May the 10th in Gemini. And it's going to go back over our communication, go back over our learning, how we're learning, how we're taking in information. Are we varying what we're doing enough? Are we, how curious are we? How open are we? How are our interactions with people? Are we being, too introverted and then building our walls, shutting down? Closing ourselves in our rooms and, and being very isolated and very separate where we're just, cutting off, or we, finding a way to connect in some way, like even, to make small talk or, to, reach out your hand and, shake hands and, to talk about the weather and, so and so forth. So it'll give us that opportunity, like, the student, because Gemini is very much the student. And if we're having a big stack of books on our table, how focused are we? Are we just going from one thing to another, or are we committing enough into something? I mean, we don't have to totally commit and finish every little thing that we start. Like, on YouTube videos, there are chapters. You can select a certain section. It's okay to do that, but, you'll know. So, um, bringing the multimedia tasker into something more focused, into that less is more idea, getting more out of something and going deep and really studying it and gaining so much more from it than we would having all these little, things we're, flitting from this and that. So it's also a good time to examine that. But Mercury is going to go direct in Gemini, speeding up the thinking process. It's a wonderful time to, do anything in the communication fields because the, door, you can open up the doors to your intellect and, ideas. Good time to be spontaneous, try new things, write that book, write that newsletter, maybe read a new book, float around and see, what's on the internet, watching documentaries, watching videos, what I'm doing right now, making videos. All of those Gemini areas will just be heightened during Mercury in its ruling sign. And there's going to be that direct period because Mercury has to go backwards. Otherwise, where would Mercury be right now? It goes retrograde 3 times a year. Uh, and it is that process. So that is what, just Mercury moving into Gemini, which is going to be a nice balance of the earth and then the water energy, those feminine energies. It's going to bring the airy ideas, thinking about what we want to manifest, and pulling this from here and there, being adaptable, in the moment, not plotting for something big and like a spiritual quest for meaning. It could be something small, simple, like a new idea that you just want to try out all of a sudden, having a picnic on your lawn for the whole entire day. And I mean, I remember when the nodes, South Node Gemini, North Node Sag, back in 2012, I remember one whole day in the summer having a picnic sitting outside from the morning until the afternoon. I just thought, what a fun idea that was. We had a snack in the morning, did activities, had lunch, did more stuff. So I just thought that was a neat little idea. Utilizing what you have in your own backyard. What's in your tool chest right now. So I thought that I would talk about that. But going further into the aspects, which is going to be happening. Taurus is also about, when the sun entered Taurus, the moon was in Sagittarius, which is very jovial. And what they have in common is indulging in things. And, maybe indulging in the walks in nature, getting fresh air, smelling the flowers. So it's wonderful. And Taurus is, very, there's a natural moderation with doing it. Doing it until, and, if you feel satisfied, then stop eating. If you feel like you're looking at technology and, watching so many videos and it feels like you're overdoing it, then cut it back. Like, cut back, it's a wonderful time to cut back the diets. Like, if you've been consuming too much sugar or dairy or meat, or whatever, if you're not exercising enough. Going back to what I was saying about starting those new resolutions. And Taurus and Virgo, the difference between these two signs, because I talked about, you know, high strung energy. There's a difference between being practical and being grounded. Taurus is more grounded than Virgo because it's mutable and it's, like OCD sort of, at worst, uh, that type of nervous energy, and Taurus can remind the Virgo to slow down, tick tock. There's so much time for you to do what you need to do. Go off the things on your list. So, some wonderful, a beautiful aspect. We did have the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction on April the 12th, which was like a spiritual bath that we're just basking in this water and this just, divine energy. And it's a wonderful time for cleansing and doing something which really purifies your soul and your, every fiber of your being, and doing something very centering. especially if it's in the earth arena. So, cooking and gardening and meditating and all those things. But Venus is conjunct Jupiter and Neptune. And the themes that come in with this are it's going to bring much more because Venus is the planet of love and money. Jupiter is the planet of expansion and joy. So there's going to be much more openness to love, much more love and romance opportunities that may come about. Expanding on that, maybe it's traveling and making love form places because Jupiter rules over, travel and, worldly interactions as well. Um, and it's important also to note the sign that these two are in. And you can see where this falls in your own natal chart. But Venus is in Pisces, where it's exalted. Jupiter is in Pisces, which Jupiter rules over Pisces. So Pisces is ruled by Jupiter and Neptune, and Jupiter is one of those rulers. So it is beautiful for anything artistic, anything creative, such as painting and music, anything where you can allow the beauty and the divinity and compassion to come through, which is, just that love and light um, energy here. And Jupiter tends to bring a lot of luck in its path. So there could be very luckies with um, merging with others and connecting with others um, on a soul levels and sharing art together, doing something together. And there's mutual understanding, patience, especially because we have all these, these planets in Taurus and Pisces, which, you know, Taurus and Pisces would be, you know, together sextiling, because you have water and so other themes include optimism, faith, Jupiter, religion, also going after your values. Jupiter rules Sagittarius and it shoots the arrow into the sky. You want to chase that arrow down. You want to go into new territory and go beyond the fences and the, you know, arena that you know already and expanding your horizons through intellectual learning, Gemini, and more experiential learning, Sagittarius. So, um, wonderful for making new friendships as well, because Jupiter is a very freeing planet, and friendships is a lot of freedom in those types of relationships. Doing what makes you feel happy, doing what makes you feel like there's a purpose, like you're really getting somewhere. With whatever it is, as long as it makes you happy, as long as it is um, meaningful or occupies you well or keeps you going, with is very creative. You can put a lot into it. It's just maybe an interest that you're curious about at this time and something that you want to dig into more and learn about more, Mercury and Gemini studies, then go for it, whatever it is, because it can really, really be that special invitation to do what gives you that inspiration, whether it is music, whether it is writing and being creative and making things up, even if it's, totally gibberish. Um, opening the mind, opening the creative juices. Um, and so, that is really what that aspect is about. And then we have Venus, as you can see right here. I'm going to show you this. I didn't do this earlier, but if you look at the chart, because I have a video where I go over this. So if we go to Venus, we're going we're going to be looking at Venus right here, sextile Pluto. So P is Pluto, and Pluto is power. And at the low level, Venus sextile Pluto, so Venus in Pisces sextile Pluto in Capricorn can be, oh, I'm going to take control over you. I own you. You do as I say. I need full commitment and security. I'm not letting you out of this trap. That can be a low level. But at the high level, this is true divine connection. This is real, honest, loving, primal, raw lovemaking. This is, I care so much about you that I so want to help you become a better person. And I'm only doing this because I I am there for you, or I have your back. And if there's any issue, anything that you've been avoiding in the relationship that is not working, um, then it's a good time to examine that and fix that, because Pluto can really, really carry you into the depths of the situation, and you can come out having a better understanding and then loving more now that that understanding is there, with that person. Um, and so Venus is all about values, and Pluto is, very intensely driven as well, because Pluto is Scorpio, which is also Mars. So you can really, really um, have a lot of focus and determination while going after your goals, going all in, putting so much of your heart and quality into what you are doing. Um, when it comes to love making, also, there's something nice about really connecting at that deep level and having a deep conversation, a meaningful conversation, looking at the person in the eyes and genuinely connecting, on that soulful level, and letting down those walls, and then feeling this greater love and greater connection as well. And then the moon, which is your emotions, conjunct Uranus, the planet of awakening and revelations. So this can be big energy, wild energy, where we want, where it's all about freedom. Because moon conjunct Uranus, Uranus is all about freedom. We want to be free to feel the way that we want to feel. We want to be free to express ourselves and how we truly feel, in those creative ways, and doing something which gives you, passion, which lights you up, which gets you out of bed, lifts you out of the dark pits and out of, the coal pile, or, whatever. Um, and, one of the things about Aquarius is that it can stand out from the crowd. It is the maverick here to change things. And coming with the emotional, coming home to yourself, um, being aligned with you being the individual, stepping out from the crowd. If the crowd is going to wear this color, black, I'm going to decide to wear this, fancy color, but still blending in a way. Like I know choir teacher who was going to this performance to, conduct, and then he had these socks on that were just kind of fun. So that's his own way of just standing out, um, and not doing what you would expect typically of, somebody conducting very professional, etc., etc., etc. But anyway, thank you for tuning in. Have a wonderful solar eclipse in Taurus. That's it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, hit the bell,